All right, we are back at the 43 kilowatt ground mount, making quite a bit of progress. They had done some work last week that I wasn't out here for, specifically pouring the slabs. So as you can see, this slab is pretty enormous, and they preset this up. They put in rebar. I mean, they pre-plumbed it. It looks super clean. The crew took a lot of different photos for this particular site, but this is where the Franklin whole home aPower 2 batteries are going to sit. And as I had previously mentioned, they're going to go this way, right? So there'll be a battery this way, 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 and then there'll be a battery this way. So there's a lot going on right here. And then they have their conduit coming up for everything in particular. And then they're working on the ground mount, which we're going to go check out and kind of go from there. And yeah, I think this project's coming along pretty nicely. They've, had quite a bit of stuff to do. They got all their footings done last week or just not too long ago. So obviously that was poured and figured out. So a lot of stuff going on, especially when you're dealing with such a massive project. You definitely want an electrician that's worked in commercial for something of this size, because it's not your everyday kind of solar project by any means. So here we have the rails pre-laid out. As you can see, they've been working on the rails, getting this configured to go all the way across, and then they're going to be laying glass all the way through. So this is the IronRidge XR1000. I had mentioned that in a previous video if you didn't catch it. This is a rock solid rail for ground mounts, and this XR1000 comes in two different spans. There's like a 16-foot 6-inch or something, and then there's a 17-foot 10-inch. So we went with the longer rails, so we had a little bit more wiggle room with the array on the height and the lower aspect of it. So it's coming along pretty nicely, as you can tell. I'll be doing some progress updates, so I'm going to cut this one and we'll circle back in. But yeah, see, we've extended over here. We had the extension over there. 43 kilowatt solar system going in. And this is going to look super clean once it's all done. And I'm really excited and really happy to be out here consulting. So the goal is to get the project done this week and have it turned on. So be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. All right, progress update on the same day. As you can see, we got the batteries up on the pad. I'm a little sweaty from lifting them. We had the forklift and everything. Lots of boxes over here. Unlike Tesla, Tesla's really the only battery manufacturer that uses reusable boxes. I've done a video in the past on that. It's really a really sustainable method, and it makes it very convenient for an installer to be able to just return it. Otherwise, you just end up with a ton of boxes. But here is the Franklin whole home batteries like I was talking about, all perpendicular. So we can take a look at that, and you can kind of see how this is all coming along. Now we're going to put on the brackets soon, and then we're also going to anchor it into the ground as well, into the slab. So it's going to be secured with the brackets against the 2-inch supports, and then we're going to be anchoring it into the ground with some red bolts. So this thing's going to be very secure. As you can see, the 1-inch is coming up, and then it's going to go right into the hole right here. So very clean configuration that we set up for this particular site. And then the same thing is going on this side, as you can see. So we're coming up, and it's going to go into this one. So Franklin's come with some pre-wired communication. We won't be using that. We have to make our own Cat 5 because we're going to have to plumb through this. The gutter box is ready to be installed. There's going to be a gutter box, and then we're going to be installing the unistrut for the 2 sub panels to be combining the 3 batteries for each A gate. So this is battery 4, 5, 6. That's going to A gate 2. And then this is battery 1, 2, 3. That's going into A gate 1. So that's going to be the configuration. And then we've made some progress on the ground mount as well. But I just really wanted to show off this beauty right here. 90 kilowatt hours of Franklin whole home storage. It looks amazing. I couldn't be happier with how it came out. The foundation from Slazik's team, obviously they do a lot of commercial stuff, so they're used to putting in slabs like this. And they went above and beyond with that setup right there. It looks amazing. So let's go check out the ground mount. They started to lay some of the glass. Real quick, I wanted to take a second and, talk about these JinkoSolar modules. Look how gorgeous this is. This is a flat black. As you can see, these are a half cell. These are an N-type technology that they're doing. They have they have a lot of bus bars. So that's what the silver is. Those are the bus bars. And I believe, no, these are not gapless. So that is one difference that Qcell does. They have gapless cells, which means that the cells overlap, which if we get close to this, you can see that they don't quite overlap completely. It would be in this section where the cells actually overlap. And that does just increase performance ever so slightly, but these are a high performance module. They come with a 25-year product warranty and a 30-year performance warranty. They look phenomenal. Obviously black frame, black back sheeting, N-type cell, which if you're not familiar with that, I actually covered it pretty extensively on my Qcell review of the Qtron module, because this is similar technology, not exactly, but it is similar. And yeah, this is definitely a great installation coming along. The railing, if you were curious, this is all XR1000 IronRidge. It's one of my favorite rails to use for a ground mount. It's heavy, it's bulky, it's sturdy as hell. These are the new end clamps that we're using to secure it. So these are the end clamps. We're not using the UFOs with stopper sleeves. These are a little bit different. The stopper is basically built into it, but you have a nice secure clamp right here. And then the UFO is the mids, and I'll show you one of those just in case you're curious. So this is the UFO right here. So that's why it's called a UFO, because it's round. And it just goes right here. And then when the next panel comes in, it comes in and it clamps down. So really clean, really simple. Not my favorite, but it is still really strong. It does create continuous grounding with the system. And one thing that I like about IronRidge is they have their bonding jumper. So one of the, I guess, shortcuts you could say that I've learned over the years in the industry, typically with railing, especially with IronRidge, you have to ground every other rail with number 6 bare copper. What we're going to do here instead of that is you can use a bonding jumper, and that allows you to ground the modules. So there'll be a clip that clips onto this panel to this panel. So now these rails are grounded because they're grounded through the frame, and you have a clip to actually continue that ground. So we do that all the way down, and we'll have continuous grounding all the way through. So it's a really simple way. You can also do it on a roof mounted system. That's where I used it the most. But they were typically those bonding jumpers. IronRidge typically uses them for their ballast system, the BX system for the grounding. And I've used them on roofs a ton of times because it's just a much better method. And I figured that out when I had to switch to Pegasus Solar for the racking during COVID, because IronRidge had inventory constraints during COVID. They were having some difficulties staying in stock, so we had to switch to a different railing. And during that time, Pegasus had a bonding jumper, and I loved that because it made the installation so much easier, and it reduced the amount of copper that we were using on the project as well, which bare number 6 can get expensive, especially if you have multiple arrays and you're having to ground all those rails. So think about this: if we had to run, this is 150 feet roughly long. If we had to ground every other rail, right, like that's a lot of bare number 6 plus the ground lugs. Whereas using the bonding jumper allows us to do it. We're not having to use a bunch of copper wire. It would be nice to see more installers do things like that, but some of the bigger guys don't, think about cost always. They're looking to shave costs in whatever way they can, but sometimes they're not always looking at the right thing. That's just a quick little tip that I got. But yeah, we'll be back out here tomorrow. So be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and you will see more of this 90 kilowatt hour storage site with 43 kilowatts of solar going in. All right, we are on day 2 of the build. As you can see, we got about 30% of the ground mount going in right now. Right behind me, you can see. Woke up today and we are in this LA fog for sure. It's quite a bit of condensation. So the goal for this second day of install is to get at least one string configured. The guys are already working on things over here, as you can see. So they're putting in some more rails. We were short some rail connectors, so we've been working on sourcing those. Should have them tomorrow, so we can finish the rest of the array all the way down there and get that all situated. But look how nice these JinkoSolar modules look. I mean, this thing is coming together really nice. And we're going to at least do one of the strings because we'll have enough for 12 of the modules. So we'll have 12 panels strung together. So, and we're doing them in straight lines. And yeah, so it'll be like all connected in series. So they're working on this stuff. And then obviously we have the battery stuff going on. So I really hope you're enjoying the work that I've been showcasing here for Slazik Electric's team. And I felt yesterday I was wearing my Schneider Electric shirt. Today I'm wearing a Fronius shirt. I really wish I could have used the Fronius inverters, honestly, because it would have been a really clean configuration. I did like the 15 kilowatt Primos, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And then obviously we have the batteries over here. We got them on the pad. We'll be bolting them up and assembling the rack. So this is going to come out pretty nice. I'm really happy with how this all came out in general. This looks phenomenal. As you can tell, like, we did wrap them because we didn't bolt them down, so we kind of ratcheted them together to the 2-inch posts temporarily. But that's basically what we're looking at. And then we're going to be putting up the gutter box, some unirack, or not unirack, unistrut behind it, and mounting the sub panels that are going to be combining 3 batteries. There's 2 sub panels because 3 batteries to each 200 amp sub panel, and then we'll be pulling that wire. So the goal is to get this done today, get those the rest of those modules laid, and then we're pretty much good to go on that aspect of it. We got 12 more panels to lay, and then work on this. So a lot of work to go on, but you know, we got a big team over here working on this, and we'll be putting in quite a bit of time. Obviously, I'm gonna, you know, jump in at different intervals to showcase it. We did do some of the wiring already in the Franklin, so I kind of want to show that to you. That's kind of cool to check out. So we do have much of the wiring going on in here. So if we open this guy up, look at this. Doesn't that look crazy? So we have the generator inputs right here. That's the 100 amp. We have our grid connection. It's not tied in yet. We will be doing that hopefully today or tomorrow. That's feeding the loads. This is where the batteries are going to connect. And then we have our solar connection on the 80 amp breaker up top. And that's, you know, this is duplicated in this other Franklin over here. So pretty straightforward, really, really clean installation, looking really nice. We really can't go wrong with Franklin or Tesla. We went with Franklin because this particular customer has a 30 kilowatt generator, and Tesla doesn't really support generators with their systems to charge the batteries. So you don't get that trifecta backup experience. When you're in a rural area, you kind of want to have redundancy backup. Your solar and your battery are your primaries, and then that generator is that secondary for, you know, emergency situations. So once this is all done, give it a little bit, and yeah, we'll be back. I might do a little bit of a time lapse. I might set up the camera as we're working on this, so there's some time lapse footage, or at least show you some of the installation progress as we build the rest of this, get these all mounted and secured, and yeah, and we'll see how the rest of the array goes together. But the goal is to have this project done this week. So this video, I'm not sure if I'm going to break it up into 2 parts or just be one big part. Either way, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you checking it out. And you know, you can, you know, so subscribing to the channel definitely helps support it. If you're interested in, you know, going solar, getting batteries, you can reach out to me. All the contact information's down below. I'm Renewable Innovations. I'm an independent consultant, and you can also reach out to Slazik Electric. I have their information down below. I do have pricing with them, so I can get you a quote, or you can reach out to them directly. They don't just do solar though. They're a commercial electrician. They do residential electrical. They do a lot of other things. So Slazik is a certified electrician. He was in the union, and then he started his own business. So now he's he's a C10 contractor. But you know, that's something rare you don't see too often in the solar industry, is actually having union certified electricians. You don't get that too much, and it's really nice to have, because I mean he works on a lot of different projects a lot of the time. Some of the projects that he does more often are, you know, electrical upgrades for apartment buildings, when insurance companies, you know, come out there and do their inspections, and they go, hey, you got these, you know, Zinco panels, these aren't kosher, you got to get rid of them. So that's what his team does a lot of, and I've been assisting with some of that too, with handling some of the admin stuff. But yeah, let's see how the rest of the day goes. Thanks for tuning in so far, and hopefully you're enjoying it. All right, time for a progress update on the batteries. As you can see, the sub panels have been kind of put in. The rack's kind of starting to come together. They got the gutter box mounted. Obviously, it's already been plumbed, so this is looking pretty good. We still have to, you know, mount the batteries. They're still tied down with the ratchet straps. But yeah, as you can see, this is coming together pretty nicely. Everybody's on lunch, so I thought this was a good time to kind of just go over what's kind of here already in place. And you know, this is a really clean, that's like dead center between the batteries. Let me step back so you can see that's nice and clean, plenty of clearance between the batteries. And then this one's nice and center as well, right between the batteries. Again, there's going to be 3 60-amp breakers in this sub panel for these 3 batteries. And then there'll also be 3 in this sub panel, and they will each feed one of the A gates. So really nice to see this project coming together in the way it is. We've been working on the array. We have half of the array configured, been working on some of the AC connections into the load generation combiner panels. We got one of the strings in each inverter configured, so that's all coming together real nicely. So earlier I had mentioned a bonding jumper for grounding. This is it from IronRidge. It's this little tab, and we already have one installed right here. So as you can see, it grounds the module to the next module. What this allows you to do, because with a traditional IronRidge system, you would ground a rail, you skip a rail, and then you go to another rail. And you have to run bare copper all the way through, number 6. And that can get pretty costly between having the grounding clamp and then that bare number 6. Mind you, this is a 150-foot long ground mount. So by going with the bonding jumper, which is totally compliant with the code, it's not much of a shortcut, but it is just a smarter decision when, you know, going with a large system to utilize something like this. They're typically used on flat roofs with a BX, like the BX racking from IronRidge, but this is still something you can use on a normal residential rooftop or on a ground mount like this. It's a much smarter choice to go with, and you just put it up here and you clip it on. So really clean. Just wanted to kind of show that. As you can see, the solar array is completely installed. So we have everything pretty much done, and the guys are starting to work on the wire management. And then we have the other crew also working on the electrical at the batteries, because that's coming along pretty nicely. The goal is to be able to try and turn on the system today. More than likely it'll be tomorrow, but we're pretty much at the finishing point of the project, and then we'll be doing a full walkthrough video of that. So be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. It's been a great time showing off this project and Slazik Electric and his team. They've been phenomenal at the process, to say the least. So yeah,